microdose, yeah, microdose, 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 dose, microdose, microdose, dose, microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, and we did it. We got through the awards season. This is episode number 188 of the Microdose. 188. Kush, I think your math is wrong. I think you're missing an episode there, buddy. You're both right, actually. My math is terrible, but we recorded an episode, 187, and geez, I suppose I should feel happier that after 180 plus of these, we only had one technical difficulty, and the episode was it was unedible, unlistenable, and therefore has been buried deep under the jail. So, but enough about that. We're moving on. We're moving forward. Episode 188 is now returning as funniest man in the room. He is the CEO, the founder, and the dreamer behind Angelcake Entertainment. Drew Angelman, what's good, man?
Hey, it's good to be here. Happy to talk about the Oscars and some movies, and get into the whole ceremony and everything.
Ooh, so off the top, time is a big factor for me, and everyone's always complaining about it. It ran too long. It started an hour early, ended about 20 minutes late, and I haven't heard anybody other than me complain about the length of time.
I mean, I thought it was odd that they bumped it up an hour, but as somebody being on the East Coast, I appreciated it because by the time it was over, I wasn't like exhausted. I kind of was just like, oh, okay, it's like a reasonable time for me, even though I spent a long time watching these Oscars.
Yeah, right.
But overall, I think what also adds to that people don't care that it ran long is that it was seemingly better, in my opinion, than the last couple of years. So maybe just the overall vibe of the ceremony that people were just like, cool, I'll let it go. And then they look at the time and they're like, wow, it seems like it went by quicker, even though they started an hour early. So maybe that was the whole mind play of starting at 7 instead of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
They must have done something really good that I'm not picking up on, because at one point Jimmy Kimmel does come out and he goes like, oh, sorry for all those folks who didn't realize we started an hour early. You guys thought we started at 5, and well, it's 5:30, so we're just gonna restart everything. Like at first I was like, yeah, it has been an hour and a half. That's pretty fascinating, and I don't even think we got through many of the categories at that point though. But I was like, oh, only 90 minutes in. All right. I thought we got a little too precious with the best actors and supporting actors when it came to bringing out 5 winners. I just play the goddamn clip. That's just have one person do one sentence, one synopsis, play the goddamn clip, and then announce the winner. This whole thing, we're just, again, maybe this is just me, but I thought we were being just a little too precious. At least for Oscars 96. Maybe do this shit for Oscars 100. That's 4 years away, but it's, I don't know. Rebuttal thoughts.
I thought it was a nice moment, but yeah, like you're saying, now thinking back to it, it's like maybe this would have been. I like that they connected everybody, and they were connecting the lineage of like who won supporting actor or best actor or everything. Like those are the big enough awards that it makes sense. I mean, we're gonna get to what happened with Best Picture, which is just wild. But like the situation of everybody being connected and everything. But like you said, what are they going to do for the 100th when this is what they did for the 96? Like I liked it, but now you're like have to hit a precedent every single time. Like you can't go back to like 2 people doing it next year and just being like, yeah, and then here's the 2 people, and it's like it's 2 people that nobody cared about or isn't even like a accompanying of the award, or nobody like this is it, I liked it, but yeah, like you said, it should probably have been done for the 100th and not the 96th, which seems odd now.
Well, so it's normally just last year's previous winner handing, passing the torch type gimmick. So I did hear, and this is just speculative, or I didn't hear this from Jimmy Kimmel himself, but like this was their way of getting around, because last year Will Smith could not present the Best Actor award for obvious reasons. So I forget what they did around that. But then this year they're like, well, now there's 5 of them. All right. I think we should actually just be grateful they didn't do that for every category.
True.
I don't know how you're going to do that for Best Picture, but still. And then Melissa McCarthy and Olivia, is that Olivia Spencer? Their bit went too long and too south. Like it was not funny from the gate, and to the point where you're just like, oh, just get on with it, please stop and just go.
Yeah, I normally like Octavia Spencer, but
Octavia
Melissa
Spencer,
McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy is someone that I really don't gel
she's funnier
too
than
much
that.
with.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like I liked her in some movies, but there's a lot of times where I'm just like, okay, like what you're saying is how I normally feel about like Melissa McCarthy bits and movies, where I'm just like, all right, well, let's just go, let's just keep going, you know.
Yeah, I am not too big of a fan of any of her comedies, but that drama she did that she got nominated for in I think it was 2018, the Can You Ever Forgive Me? That movie is amazing, and she is
Mhm.
amazing in that. And I was kind of bummed she didn't win. But I was it the lady from Three Billboards, I think, won it that year.
Yeah,
So
Frances McDormand.
Frances McDormand. There you go. Thank you. So other than that, man, oh, final thing, the In Memoriam. I know we
Oh
have
yeah.
Andrea Boccacelli up there. Cool. Have him and his son up there. Have them sing. We don't need the camera on them. And then you got some dancers doing the shit like from the Running Man. That's probably great for the live audience, but at home, we kind of want to see the people's names. Like, I
It
mean,
was it was wild how the whole thing is about in memoriam for the people that are no longer here.
yes.
Yet at every single like 10 seconds, they would change something where it was the screen in the middle. And then all of a sudden they have to take the screen away and put it on the sides. And then they had to take the sides away and then move the thing up to then now the screen that has the names on you have to go underneath this like rig to go past an orchestra where now it's like crunched like it's widescreen view, but people are blocking both sides. And then all of a sudden it's just like on the tapestries. I was like, this is so wild that what you were trying to do, you're making it so difficult for us to just see the pictures and the names of people that are no longer here. And that's the whole point of this segment. It's just do the orchestra and the screen in the background. That's all you have to do. And people would not be upset or frustrated or annoyed at this. But to me, I thought that was the worst part of the entire thing, of the entire ceremony. Like I genuinely just was baffled by it. I was annoyed by it, and I hated every single second of it because that's the whole point. And you made it the toughest way to see the names and the pictures and their works and everything. I just thought it was really, really poorly done.
It was a bad call on the technical director, whoever that was. So hopefully they don't do that again next year. Like again, I don't care that there's people dancing there. Like that's probably for the live audience, and
Yeah,
let the Boccacellis sing their hearts out. Like they're amazing singers. No one's going to take that away from them. But let's just put the names on the screen. Stupid.
exactly.
Oh. Any standouts? Anything exciting? Something you didn't see happen? Like,
I mean, I'm always going to talk about or be thrilled to see Ryan Gosling sing.
that was a lot of fun.
I thought Barbie absolutely crushed it, but I think it stole the show in the case that it has some of the most memorable moments from it, especially Ryan Gosling singing "I'm Just Ken." I think people left the Oscars with that stuck in their head, and then it's stuck in their head for days to the point where they're like, I'm going to go watch that movie again. And not necessarily sitting back going like, oh, I want to watch Poor Things again on Hulu or something like that. They would rather, I think what really stuck in people's heads was like seeing Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig and America Ferrera singing it, Ryan Gosling passing by Emma Stone and letting her sing a line and stuff. I think that's Slash is there too, which I was not expecting. So I just think that out of all the situations, I think Barbie really came out, even though they didn't win an award. I think they left off with some of the most memorable moments that people will remember this Oscars for.
So the Billie Eilish song was from the Barbie soundtrack. So they got the one. They got the one.
Okay,
But,
yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the performance is so enjoyable that it has popped up on my YouTube feed like 6 or 7 times in the last 3 or 4 days. And I'm just like, let it
Same.
roll. We're watching this again. All right. Yeah. And then yeah, I it's nice to see Slash. Slash is always appreciated, but then I'm looking, I'm like, oh, Slash is like 65 now. And
Yeah.
he has 3 chins. Why does Slash have 3 chins? Oh no. What does that say about me? Ah, I'm having that anxiety attack where like all of a sudden someone's gonna call me sir and be like, how dare you? Sir is my father's name. Call me Kush. So yeah, but Slash was a big part of that. There's they have re-released that song multiple times now to the point where there is behind the scenes footage where Mark Ronson and Slash are just like hammering things out over like they're just in the middle of composing it. So they like Slash has always been a part of that song. So it was really cool that he was able to show up that night.
Definitely.
I think everybody got a kick out of John Cena.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I don't know how much of a wrestling fan you were, or if you know him from that at all. But even through his wrestling career and then some of the movies he's done lately, especially with the new Amazon movie Ricky Stenicki, which we did a review about that. It's not a good movie. John Cena is fearless, is where I'm going with this. The man is scared of nothing, makes him has no problem making himself look like an idiot, and did that both times this weekend. One in the movie and two at the Oscars. But god damn it, dude! Like I've got like the utmost respect for him because his comedy timing is just fantastic. He People keep missing opportunities with him. I don't know what it is because he's delivering everything he's given.
Yeah, I thought that was a really like standout moment as well. Another person that I didn't expect to be there, but yeah, he's fearless. Also he's in really great shape.
Very great
I
shape.
I can understand him doing that for a movie,
Mm-hmm.
but to go out there in front of a ton of esteemed actors, directors,
Yeah.
crew
Steven Spielberg is
members,
there.
millions of people who are watching at home, like yeah, that's I mean, hey, guess I'm sure that stuck with a lot of people along with the Ryan Gosling thing. So I think maybe John Cena also was trying to like get into everybody's mind, being like, yeah, I'll do that if I can be memorable at the end of all of this.
Yeah, if anyone forgets that, they probably just didn't see it and were living under a rock this past Sunday because that's gonna go on in event history forever,
Oh yeah.
forever. It was nice to see Godzilla win its video effect award.
I unfortunately wasn't able to, and
Mm,
unfortunately, I saw pretty much every other movie besides Godzilla minus one that was
mm.
in that visual effects category. I unfortunately saw The Creator recently, and I like the VFX. The movie just stunk,
Oh,
honestly, and it was to me, it was either between Guardians and Godzilla minus one, and I'm so glad Godzilla minus one won,
mhm.
even though I hadn't seen it, but I heard such good things about it. So.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely one of those movies where it's like, I dare you not to like this, Drew. Like it's one of the most original stories I've ever seen. We're gonna get into it a little bit later, but I am tired of World War II as a genre and a subject these days. But we'll get into
Hmm.
that later. However, they did something very original with it, which is the kamikaze pilot who just been like, this plane's really too nice to just crash into something, man. I'm just gonna set her down over here. So let me see what else do we got here. Any surprises with the best actors or anything that just else that stuck out to you? Like for the animated features, I was genuinely surprised Spider Verse didn't win. I think you had a theory about that last time, and I haven't seen The Boy and the Heron. I have no reason not to think it isn't good, but I've seen trailers for other Miyazaki films. They literally all look the same, and maybe I'm being shallow minded there. I don't know.
I wasn't surprised because I always thought that The Boy and the Heron was going to win. One for a long time it was speculated or rumored, or he may have said something offhanded, Miyazaki, I mean,
Mhm.
that this was possibly going to be his last film. And coming to find out now that's not the case. So when it was coming out that he could be hanging it up, I felt like there maybe a lot of people upon that news would want to just like give it to him anyways. Even though I think the movie is good on its own, like it didn't need that news to win. I thought it was really really good, really really heartfelt, a little bit out there, but I thought that for what he was telling. It was very, very sincere. I
Mhm.
thought Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, once I found out that there was going to be a part 2 that was like going to take part right after that movie,
Mhm.
and it was going to be a trilogy anyways, I felt like there was going to be a lot of people that were going to wait to give it the award till the next time,
Mhm.
since
He did say that. Yeah.
this doesn't feel like a full movie. Nothing else in that category I had thought had a chance to win. I thought it was a two dog race, but I felt like The Boy and the Heron was going to get it. So I wasn't really too surprised on that one.
Mhm. There were 23 televised categories this year. Of those, four of those I had nothing invested in. Like I didn't see documentary feature, I didn't see
Mm-mm.
the animated shorts, the documentary short, or the live action short. So
Nope.
out of 19 categories that I did have 2 cents about, I got 11 correct, and that's still an F. So um, let me see, like original score. I didn't really notice the score out of any of them except for Indiana Jones, which still plays in my head to this day. But that could just be from Raiders of the Lost Ark. When it comes to like makeup and hairstyling, I knew Poor Things was gonna win. I thought Barbie was gonna take production design as well as costume, and when Poor Things swept both of those, I was like, yeah, as much as I hate that movie, yeah, okay. We'll get into that in a little bit later too here, but I'm just saying, I wanted America Ferrera to win. However,
Okay.
Joy Divine Randolph swept every award this season. All of them. I don't think there's one where she got left out of, or maybe she just didn't show up one night, but like I believe she's won every award she's been nominated for this year. Um, otherwise, anything you want to add?
So it's interesting because I felt like maybe I so here's the thing. I feel like this year there was so many more movies that were so appealing. I don't
Mhm.
know what else to say, but I felt like this year's movies were so much easier for mass audiences to consume
Okay.
or to take in
Hmm.
or just to be able to see. I'm guessing I don't know how to phrase it, but like when I look at this, I feel like one, I was able to see majority of these movies, which you said we would get into.
Hmm.
But I saw a ton of them before they were even announced, and even then some of the movies I thought would be on Best Picture happened to not be on Best Picture, but other categories, and I still watched them on my own volition.
Hmm.
So when coming into this award season, I felt like I had a little bit more tap on the pulse of what could have happened. The problem is that I kind of was able to narrow stuff down to a 50-50 split on
Nice.
every single category. Like when it came down to
Nice.
best actress, I was hoping Lily Gladstone, but to me, I thought it was going to be either Emma Stone or Lily Gladstone was going to be able to win. The same thing with like I can't say best adapted screenplay because I was not going to pick American Fiction to win that at
No.
all.
Oh, really?
It's a it's a good movie, but
Mhm.
whenever Oppenheimer was in, I just thought it was going to sweep every award that
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
it was going to have. Um, except for no, I'll say Cillian Murphy. To me, it was either Cillian Murphy or Paul Giamatti. I just really wanted Paul Giamatti to win. I love the holdovers.
Hmm.
But everything I felt like could come down to a 50-50 split, which to me kind of makes things a little bit harder because then you're kind of going back and forth wavering where in years past with like Shape of Water, Green Book and all that other stuff, I'm kind of just like I either saw it or I didn't. It was either a hit or a miss movie to where I didn't care to see it at
Hmm.
all or I would have never seen it on my own volition unless it was nominated and then I had to go see it. So
Hmm.
I thought that this year's movies were one more appealing to the masses slash myself. And then that gave me a little bit more insight to when I sat down to like do some of these picks. I was like, oh, I feel like I got this. But then I got caught up with 50-50 shots and I let my heart do some of it and my head do the others. And
Hmm.
somehow I got some wrong. I got both of them wrong, even though I was split for some of them. So yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into the best pictures, and I think this is a good segue. Dune 2 just came out, but
Hmm.
originally in a perfect world for Warner Brothers, it would have came out around Thanksgiving or whatever, qualifying it for this weekend's previous Oscars. I feel very confident it would have made the 10. But how much of an impact do you think that had not having Dune on this list this year? Like Oppenheimer won it, but do you think it would have?
See, I don't think it would have won Best Picture. I think Oppenheimer,
Mhm.
it had a little bit longer time to sit with people. And I think with how good of a movie that is, both technically and visually and just all around,
Mhm.
it just felt like it was just an unstoppable force. But after watching Dune Part 2 and almost going to see it a second time, even
Oh
though I
wow.
don't have time to go see like a 3 hour movie in an IMAX theater again, I just think it's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time in
It's
the
really good.
theater. Like it's so good. And
Mhm.
I hate getting on the bandwagon, but I saw it for myself like opening weekend and I was
Mhm.
like, I love it. If I didn't see it and then I heard everybody, which everybody is saying it's really, really good,
Mhm.
I would have been like, I'm not gonna watch that until it comes out. And then I would have been so bummed. Like I didn't see part one in theaters. But I think it would have taken VFX,
Mhm.
which would have sucked for Godzilla.
Mhm.
But I think it would have taken VFX. I think it would take took sound. I think it would have taken a lot of the technical awards like the first Dune did.
Mhm.
But I don't think it would have been able to surpass Oppenheimer in a lot of the categories, specifically Best Picture for this year.
Let's get into the best picture. Like you said, you got to see a chunk of these movies before the list was even out. What were the two movies that you were missing, or was it more than that? I think it was just two, right?
It was Poor Things and Zone of Interest.
Ooh, oh fuck. So did you get
Yes,
to see either of those?
I did. I got to see Poor Things. Poor Things was one of those movies where I put in for tickets twice and then had to cancel them both times. And then once we got done with it, I saw it like a couple of days later. So I did go see it. Coming out of it, I thought it was what stuck with me was the costumes,
Hmm.
was the design, was everything technical that it did win,
Hmm.
and of course Emma Stone's performance.
Yeah.
I still can't stand Mark Ruffalo, even though he's playing
Yeah.
a goofy idiot. I just was like, I'm done with you, dude. Just move on, please.
Hmm.
But after a while and having it sit with me, it's one of those movies where it was fine in the moment, but it's one of those movies I'm never going to go back and watch most likely ever again. And Zone of Interest was a movie that annoyed the heck out of me because the movie never played near me. Like
Oh,
like my movie theater would pop up this past week with Oscars coming up. I'm thinking it's going to get more screen time because the Oscars are coming up. They're going to want it got one screening on a random Wednesday, this past Wednesday, only
mhm.
one screening on one Wednesday. And then there was only one more screening and it was on a Saturday morning. And I was
Oh
like,
fucking hell.
so I'm like, I what the heck, man? Like, I can't see this one movie and then it's not streaming anywhere. I can't even rent it on Amazon Prime. So I was just annoyed at the whole thing that I couldn't see the last movie. It was just so I never got to see Zone of Interest. I heard it was
Oh, okay.
good,
Oh,
but
okay. Sure.
I saw 9 of the 10, and Zone of Interest did win eventually for international feature and
Mhm.
best sound. But I still wish I would have gotten to see it and got all 10 underneath my belt before I left, but before this happened. But I don't know. I was just annoyed that it was like this is an Oscar movie. Normally, it gets shown more times. It's just my theater or whatever. It just was impossible to. It was impossible. It was just impossible to get, which to me is just like nuts for a movie up for Best Picture. I couldn't see it at all.
It's always funny that the movie that is nominated for Best Picture and International Picture will usually just win the International Picture, and then you're like, yeah, well, they ain't winning the Best Picture. All right, get out of here. I think that's only happened like once or twice.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Zone of Interest. So Zone of Interest was only also playing at one theater in San Francisco. It was downtown at the Test Your Luck and Get Stabbed by a Hobo theater, and I was like, do I really want to go through all that? Spend $17, and like again, you couldn't rent it,
Right.
but you could purchase it on Apple. Finally, like 2 weeks ago. Finally, like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, well, the extra $2. Okay, I don't have to get on a bus. I don't have to worry about getting stabbed. Blah 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 blah. Like, oh, by the way, folks, it's not a joke. That shit's dangerous downtown. Anyways, I hated the Zone of Interest so goddamn much, dude.
Oh, really?
It's, it is the mellowest of drama. That is again, it's if you weren't aware of it, it's a Nazi family living right outside the gates of Auschwitz.
Mm.
Like here's their backyard, here's the sound wall, right over that Jews are dying everywhere. Like and the entire movie is just you're hearing screaming and moaning and wailing and the occasional gunshot and it sounds from the gas chamber, and that's the entire picture, and this is supposed to be their lives all day long. And for this family, this is just normal for them. They might as well be making bumpers at the Ford factory. Okay, like this is just a job to this guy. He is very efficient. He loves what he's doing for the Fuhrer, but he's a family man. So we see him like make sure the kids have done their homework. He tucks them in at night. He makes love to the wife. They have like, oh, we're gonna go on that vacation. You know, we're gonna go on that vacation. Oh, do you need something for the party on Saturday? Okay. Oh, your mother-in-law is coming to town. She's a great old gal. I can't wait to see her. And then when it comes to like the massacring outside of the sound, it's very tasteful. I think you maybe see two Holocaust prisoners total, but you never see anybody get murdered. You never see anyone die. You don't see anyone get tortured. But you got that goddamn sound going off the entire time, and it's just like the entire 90 minutes I'm watching it. I'm just like, am I supposed to be offended by this? Am I supposed to be upset? Like, what emotion am I supposed to be feeling here? Because I ain't feeling it. I'm just feeling bored
Mm.
and annoyed. What's also weird is the United Kingdom's selection for Best International Film. However, the entire movie's in German and was somehow funded by Poland. And it's like everything about it is confusing to me. The story just ends. It doesn't have an ending. It just ends. But then, like, for whatever reason, we flash forward 70 years into the present. We're now at Auschwitz when it's a museum. And so you just see little cleaning ladies just, oh, I'm just cleaning the display window. And it's like, oh, here's 40,000 children's shoes. And you're just like, oh, fuck you guys. What? Like,
Mm.
I don't need this. But now I get to own it forever. Thank you, A24. Thank you for that privilege.
That seems that's different than what I thought it was going to be. I only recently heard that it was about World War II.
Mhm.
But I had
Mhm.
no idea what else it was because I thought I was going to go see it.
Mhm.
But for some reason, distribution or anything, my own movie theater made it the toughest. I just don't understand why their distribution wouldn't at least make this rentable because I'm sure they would have such a bump if they would have allowed um Amazon to rent this out to people
Yeah.
because like I think it would have been so much better than the because I'm sure out of all of these movies, and I'm not just speaking because of my bad experiences,
Mhm.
but if I had that much trouble and I'm actually like actively searching to watch the 10 best picture nominees,
Mhm.
the general audience is not going to do anything to see this movie. So, I mean, if you would have at least put it up on Amazon and had a banner for it, hey, it's an Oscar nominee, want to rent it? Kind of, I think more people would have seen it or would have given it a try.
Mhm.
Maybe the mass audience probably wouldn't have been as accepting of it or been like, what am I watching kind of vibe. They would have saw A24 Oscar nominee and wanted to watch it. But I would have given this $14. I don't know how much I gave The Anatomy of a Fall, but I watched it and I was like, cool. I was glad to have at least rented it off of Amazon. I gave it some money. I wanted to
Mhm.
support it. The zone or whatever the distribution, whoever was in charge of it made it the hardest to even like support this movie in
Mhm.
any way of like being able to watch it. So yeah, I'm just a little annoyed by the whole experience, but yeah.
I honestly cannot tell you. I cannot recommend you go out of your way to see it. Even when it finally does gets available for just streaming free on Prime, I'm just like, maybe go to another thumbnail. Don't worry about that one.
Yeah, and that's the problem with it is like after hearing that and then how much trouble it was and now the kind of moment, I'm not saying like it's a bad movie, but it's like the moment has passed. Like
Mhm.
I don't know when I'm going to want to sit down and like ingest such like that kind of content, you
Yeah.
know?
I think people are supposed to be shocked that these folks are just acting so
Yeah.
normal and that they're not like just gnawing on the bones of Jewish children. Like, but they were, guess what? This was just a job to them. It was like, are they terrible people? Absolutely. But they
Yeah.
were incredibly normal. In fact, so normal that at some point, uh, the man of the house gets a call from whoever his superior is and like, we're being transferred. Huh? but the kids are school, and the wife has got friends here, and blah blah blah. And like finally the wife gets in. By the way, this man murders 500 people a day, and yet the wife is still in charge and busting his balls. It's like, you tell Hitler we're not going anywhere. He's like, I can't tell Hitler we're not going anywhere. Like,
Sheesh.
it's yeah, the thing was crazy. But so Sandra Huller was in that, and then she was in just what you mentioned, Anatomy of a Fall, and I found that so much better. It's a little
Yeah.
long, but I was fascinated the entire time. It could have. It's going to be Investigative Discovery's most played movie in the next 5 years, but I think it belongs on that channel. And like I found the French justice system fascinating, or at least what they showed of it. Like, I was just like, wow, what? Oh, this is out of control. I enjoyed Anatomy of a Fall quite a bit. Past lives made me feel all the emotions. If you've ever been in a long distance relationship, like it hit home. I was like, oh, you idiot! Don't. Why are you not going to go to New York? You could, my friend. They teach Cantonese in New York. You're not going to have a problem learning Cantonese in New York. Go get your girl. And he's like, well, I really want to learn Chinese. And I was like, what? Ah, you're a fucking idiot. Ah. And then American Fiction, of the 5 that I didn't get to see and would see, American Fiction became my favorite. I would see it in the theater, and I saw it with a full house of what I can only describe as a bunch of nervous white people, because every time they landed a joke, it was quiet in that house. Like, the jokes weren't not funny. The jokes were hilarious. In fact, the quieter it got, the louder I got, because that shit had me rolling in the aisles, dude. Like, just so much fantastic world play. Did you ever see Spike Lee's Bamboozled?
No.
They're both very similar movies. Bamboozled came out, I want to say, in 2000, and then American Fiction, the book it's based on, didn't get published till 2001. And the whole point of the movie is it takes forever to get a goddamn book made. So I don't know who came up with the idea first. The subtle differences is Damon Wayans in Bamboozled, well, he's trying to get fired, so he comes up with the most offensive program he can think of. Problem is, it's a nationwide hit. And now they're like, hey, now you get the corner office, and we're going to give you a car. Oh, and here's all this money. He's like, well, I like money, so I guess I'll keep doing this offensive shit. And ultimately, he pays the price for it in the end. Whereas Jeffrey Wright, the entire time, was like, what? They like it? This is the worst thing I've ever come up with. Call the book fuck. All right, like he just does everything he can to sabotage it, and the more he sabotages it, the better it gets. And so, like, he's only in his own private hell. And those are the only two real constraining, only two big differences in the movies. But I found American Fiction to be the best of the 5 I didn't get to see. I was hoping it was going to take Best Picture. Barbie was my favorite. I understand why Oppenheimer won, but I thought American Fiction was the best picture.
I really liked American Fiction, and I liked it on so many different levels. One, from the personal level, as well as the acting. I love Jeffrey Wright. Sterling K. Brown was incredible. Everybody in the movie is fantastic. It has this charm about it, and also this, like, you can understand it from multiple different levels. Like, even if you're not a writer, you've been in certain situations where you're like, why am I not getting to where I want to go? Or why isn't it not happening? Like, I'm doing something, but it's just not getting there. I just really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was the funniest out of everybody. All the movies on here. I mean, Barbie is funny, but I thought going into American Fiction, I wasn't expecting what it was going to be. And it had some twists and turns. It had its high moments. It had slow moments. And it had this charm about it that I'm happy that it won adapted screenplay, because I thought Oppenheimer was just going to sweep everything that it was in. But I'm glad it got recognized. American Fiction got recognized for something, because it does have that quality about it that I'm glad it just didn't get overlooked in this batch of movies. These really good movies this year, but I'm glad it didn't get completely washed over by the bigger names of Nolan and Gerwig and Bradley Cooper and Martin Scorsese and everything. So,
and I don't want to shit on Poor Things anymore, but like, as I'm watching it, I'm only annoyed the entire time. And what's even more annoying is like these sets look great. These costumes, someone put a lot of work into these costumes. Emma Stone's character actually has a full arc. Like
Yeah.
she had a full transformation. Like so when it I remember leaving Killers of the Flower Moon going, "Oh, that Lily Gladstone, she just won best actress." And then I got out of Poor Things and I was like, "Oh, Emma Stone just replaced her." Like,
Yeah, I do you think that Emma Stone was legit shocked that
yes,
she won over Lily Glad? Like when she her name was announced, I thought that she was going. I thought one that
she was
was
having
like
a panic
legit.
attack.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like she had a panic attack. Like she's like almost as if like I wasn't expecting this. This isn't my award
Mhm.
to get almost like that was the feeling that I feel like she had to where like all these emotions just rushed over her, which I thought was super genuine.
Mhm.
Normally, you don't see that kind of emotions on because you get to this point and you've already either won so many awards or you haven't won so many awards, and you kind of know like where the chips are gonna lie. I legit thought Lily was gonna win. I think she should have won. But
Yeah.
like you said, the Emma Stone's character went through a complete arc
Yeah.
and everything. So I mean, I understand, and I thought it was going to be between the two. I'm still kind of surprised about Lily not winning, but also Emma's reaction to winning.
Yeah, so Emma Stone is still getting shit for that George Clooney movie she did where they're in Hawaii and she's playing a half Filipino chick. Like
Yeah,
she's still that was like 7 years ago. That was before the pandemic, an entire lifetime ago. Like she's done other movies since, and she still gets shit for that. Like all she did was just take a job. Like she didn't write the
yeah,
character,
exactly.
but she still gets grief for that. So yeah, I absolutely believe that she did not think she was going to win. One funny moment in the entire Oscars is when they're doing all the performances. They were playing the Osage Nation was doing their gimmick with the drum, and as soon as it ended, I looked over at Mama Hayes and I went like, and that's why that song was on the Billboard charts for 30 weeks in the top 10. And she went, really? And I was like, no, not even a little bit.
Yeah, no.
So, well, dude, like if this was a bizarre Oscars, it was fairly moderate. I mean,
Hmm.
no one exploded. No one, a light didn't fall on anybody. That's all good news, despite it being longer. Somehow went just a little bit smoother. I still think the pandemic era Oscars where we're doing it at a train station. I still don't know why we couldn't do the theater, but when we were at the train station, I felt like the show moved a little quicker. I don't know what the connection is there, but that happened. So yeah, again, I enjoyed Billie Eilish. I enjoyed our guy Ryan Gosling. That guy can do no wrong. He is currently in Texas at the South by Southwest Festival with Emily Blunt, promoting the new Fall Guy movie.
Yeah.
True Hollywood Reporter showed a little thing where like I guess they do a little parade or whatever. So he's in the original Fall Guy truck, and they're both in the bed. Just they're going like 5-6 miles an hour, nothing crazy. But I don't think it happened. But the headline says Ryan Gosling almost falls out of a truck, and he's fine. All right, he's
Yeah,
fine,
no.
whatever. But reading the comments again, someone was like, Ryan Gosling is such a fucking solid. I was like, where'd that come from? Who are you mad at, sir? Like, and apparently, like every time I see some crazy comment like that, I make the mistake of like, I gotta click this guy's profile. Like, wait, you're a correspondent on CBS News? How does that work? Get the fuck out of here, man. So
I give it up for Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, just like on the grind,
yeah,
like completely. Like they go from the Oscars straight to now promoting another movie. Um, so yeah, that's wild.
yeah, and it looks like a fun movie. It looks as much fun as the A-Team movie was 10 years ago. Wow, 10 years ago. So anyway, man, anything else we want to say about Oscars '96?
I'll be real. I'm just one happy that we didn't have another Triangle of Sadness situation where I legit like I'm not a huge fan of all of these movies. Like, of course, like we talked about Poor Things. I didn't find it terrible, but it's not something that I'm actively gonna go rewatch anytime soon. And I and Maestro definitely wasn't my thing.
Oh, fucking Maestro. Oh, I didn't even
Which
get Maestro. Maestro was the worst goddamn movie. I don't even know how it made that list.
Yeah, well, I was gonna bring up Bradley Cooper next, but like at least it wasn't like Triangle of Sadness, which wasn't it like 2.5 hours and it felt like 3 years. Like I just
Yes.
hated it. I hated it so much. To me, that was ridiculously stupid. So I'm glad I didn't like leave a movie out of the nine of the 10 I've watched. I didn't like leave the theater being like that was an utter waste of time. And I watched it on Hulu. I watched Triangle of Sadness on Hulu, and I still felt like I wasted my time when I could have stopped it at any point. The next one was my next point that I thought of was Bradley Cooper. I feel like he's gonna go do whatever it takes to get this Oscar in directing, whether it is getting the Oscar in Best Picture, Best Actor, whatever, like screenplay. I mean, he's gonna go to crazy heights in the next few years, just trying. Like he's gotten a taste now with the Stars Born and now Maestro, and now he's like, I gotta do it. Like I'm so freaking close. Like two movies, and they were both nominated. Like I'm right there. Yeah. I'm right there. And it's just like, all right, dude, calm down. Like take a breather. I know you were a raccoon for like half a year, but like let's just relax. So I'm really glad that Maestro didn't win, because I would have hated if he would have won anything for that movie. I didn't like it very much.
So watching Maestro, you see that the man has a vision. Like he wants it to look a certain way, and you know, I don't mind a gimmick, dude, but like stick to one thing, or have a point, because Maestro made the mistake that a lot of biopics have been making this last couple of years, where all they're doing is just regurgitating shit that you could read in a People magazine. What happened to them 50 years ago thing, where this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. I just saw the Bob Marley movie a couple weeks ago, and it's a really good biopic. It focuses on one block of time. Sure, okay, once upon a time he was a child, but guess what? There was a war going on in Jamaica. So he put together a peace concert. And because that happened, someone tried to assassinate him. But then he still did the concert. But then he also figured, oh, that led to him going like, well, maybe things are a little dangerous here. So they went to England. And then he came up with the greatest album of his career, which led to him going on a world tour. Like there's a cause and an effect for everything that happened in that movie for the story it was telling. Whereas I'm watching Maestro, I'm just like, all right, you like kissing dudes. I get it. I don't care. Like, hey, why don't you tell us how difficult it was to make West Side Story? That would have been an interesting movie. You know, like give us the controversy of what it was to do whatever movie you had to do, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying. Yeah,
and I think to your point, I think everybody falls into the pitfalls, or majority of everybody falls into those pitfalls for the biopics, because it's like they feel like they have to touch over everything or go over every major it's almost like, you know what it reminds me of, and I think one is because these people were actually living and have relatives that are still alive and stuff, so they want to like do those people right by what's going on. But it's almost like reminds me of when watching like the Han Solo origin movie that came out, and it was really bad, but it's like one of those things where they have to, or feel like the need to, tell you the origin of every little detail of the life. Being like, hey, you want to know how he was named Han Solo? He got a bus ticket. Yeah. And then he just took, it's like, I don't need to know that. That sounds dumb. And it's like, it's kind of like when you're watching the biopic of like, what is it, Queen, and we have to know how they came up with Another One Bites the Dust riff. We're gonna have to go over how they came up with We Are the Champions. We got to go over and it's like, we don't need to go over all these minute details. How about we just tell one cohesive story? So I think that's where the pitfalls fall in. And yeah, for Maestro, it just seemed like there was so much it felt like he was so close to the material, because he was working with Leonard Bernstein's kids and everything, like getting so many ideas, and they worked so many years, and he wrote the script and he helped write the script, and then he became the guy, and I think he just was like, I want to tell so many things, and I'm so into character, and I took conducting lessons. Like, I need to show everything. And it's like, you don't need to show everything. No, all right, just take a deep breath, and you'll get there, man. You'll get there. But I'm glad that movie was on Netflix, and I watched some of it in like 1.5 speed. I just couldn't, or 1.25 speed. Like,
oh, so smart.
I was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm sorry, I can't. I knew going into the movie I wasn't going to be thrilled with it, and I'm glad it was on Netflix at least.
Well, again, there's just so much they could have done with that. Whereas, they tried to cram in everything. But like, again, as I said, he really likes kissing guys. Okay, let's focus on that then. Like, I know it's New York, pretty progressive city, but guess what? You kiss a guy in Central Park, someone's going to throw a bottle at you still. In 1950, absolutely. Why don't we talk about the struggles of that? Maybe, you know, like, oh, I just kissed my friend George and someone hit me with a brick. Like, you know, focus on that. There was such a missed opportunity to tell what could have been a very interesting story. But again, we don't need the entire 70-year arc or however old the gentleman was. So.
Well, and to that level, it's almost like it's almost like with some biopics, especially like Maestro, and there's like even the one that won Bohemian Rhapsody and everything, they get so hinged, or they get so like locked into telling certain minute details that at a certain point they're like, this is going too long. So then they time jump so far into it, and it's like, Leonard Bernstein, you have so many major awards. And it's like, we didn't get to any of that. We just skipped over all of that. And it's like, and now you're on the TV and we're going to interview you. You're so popular now. And it's like, well, how did we get here? What are we doing?
My favorite moment of ridiculousness in Maestro is actually one of my favorite moments of ridiculousness in the Whitney Houston biopic, where there's no explanation for it. In one case, they're in Maestro, they're at a party, but in the Whitney Houston movie, she's just at home, but just cocaine just comes out of nowhere. It's like, here, do some cocaine. You're sprinkling cocaine all over me right now. Jim, damn. You know, there should have been a thing like, you know, they're at a party and someone goes, hey, you want to try this thing called cocaine? It's great. Doctors recommend it for everything. Like, you're gonna love it. And then, but in Maestro, it just came and went. Like, apparently he didn't have a problem. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing of like being too close to the source material and being too close to the Bernstein family, that it's like we want to be truthful, but we want it to be tasteful. We want to not go too deep into it, because it's just like yeah. There's a point we can get to where it's like not disrespectful but also realistic kind of vibe. But yeah, I remember that part. There's very little I remember of that movie, but that I remember that part, and yeah.
Well, folks, that was Oscars '96. I'm not a fortune teller, but I have a strong suspicion we'll be talking about Dune 2 this time next year for Oscars '97. But Jerry, you want to plug anything?
No, just my YouTube channel at youtube.com/angelcakevids, getting into talk about reality TV and the challenge, and yeah, getting excited for things to come.
There you go, guys. You know me, we do the waffle box, you know the whole rap. It's all right. Find that on YouTube. Me in front of the family, Mike Fish. We do everything and nothing all at the same time, and it's a good time. So anyways, for funniest man in the room, Drew Angelman, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
You tell Hitler we're not going anywhere.